what they call below the line with fiber. And typically those conduits have a couple of different things. So you could actually have 2 to 3 or even 4 service providers that would have their own line run through the conduit that could serve each parcel. But that at a minimum that someone would be required to install, either have a service provider install fiber in the ground, or have it where whoever it is has to run a conduit at least for future use. And the reason why is because right now we've got neighborhoods where, I'll give you an example, we've got one up at 42 North where AT&T has fiber right across the street. But Teagle Farms, which is the neighborhood, is across from Greystone. Greystone had fiber run before they CO'd the neighborhood or final platted the neighborhood, whereas Teagle did not. Well, right now the cost to run fiber through Teagle would be well in excess of $300,000 because you've got to bore under driveways and you've got to get permits and you got peak traffic and people coming in and out. So the cost to do that is prohibitive. And so in this sense, now again, my understanding is that and what I've heard from multiple internet providers is that any new major development in Monroe County, somebody's going to run fiber. So is what I've been told. And so I don't really think we're asking anything that is above and beyond what will happen, but I do think that it's important enough of a technology and something that would, and you can actually run you can run cable line through those conduits as well, but you know, once you've poured 30 driveways over the top of that right of way, the cost to run anything like that gets very prohibitive. Now, if y'all will recall, Bibb County has a law that requires any new development that, and any trench that's dug in Bibb County, whoever has pulled the permit to dig the trench has to lay a conduit at their expense in Bibb County. And I presented that at a prior meeting. So again, not to necessarily model that, but you know, it's important enough, I think, that that we should require it, you know, from developers that are putting in. They're already putting in water lines. The power company's already laying. You know, there should be a way to get some economies of scale from that, but that's the idea. And I applaud the gentleman who brought it up. It's something we kind of talked about. So I'll let the floor have it. Go back to the chair.
Sure. I think that's a good idea. Why don't we require curb and gutters in new subdivision? Why don't we require all subdivisions to have underground utilities? Most do anyway. And also that they coordinate when they're installing all the utilities, that they all be together. What I'm getting at, and Junior can contribute to this, they go out and dig up the phone line is over here, then the gas line is over here. And the spot man come out there to spot them all up and he missed one. That happens quite often. They go out there and have to do a job on a ditch or something later on. They dig up the gas line. And then that's all heck breaks loose. So that might need to be looked at.
I think that's a good idea, but I don't think we require them to put the power in with the fiber cable because it interferes with it. But the others can be put on.
It could be working out better than what it is. We have to come in and draw lines.
I think Daniel can lead us into this. That's our
One thing I'd like to add,
chief building
what
inspector.
Commissioner Monroe said, that I think that ought to be required on any new subdivisions. And if they want to try to sidetrack this by putting in phase 1 of 5 homes in phase 2, I think even if it's 5 homes, we'll make it required. Any subdivision.
So what's the play?
Make a motion to approve.
What I would do, the motion probably ought to be to get Daniel to bring us back and work with Gino and county manager on the official, official policy, and with Kelsey too, on
ask Kelsey a question?
Okay.
Are there any subdivisions that have already got approval at one down 41 by, have they got approval yet?
The 41
Sanders?
Bolingbroke Manor, they did get approved for their preliminary. They've sent in their ENS plans. I actually have contacted them to come together for a pre-con meeting and have not heard back from them. So when we come together, that's a good thing. That's when I can present that to
So
you.
that would be something if we come up with, we can require them to do, even though they've already come up. Oh,
The last thing I want to specify, and y'all tell me if you think, like, some of this is just trying to get your consensus on it, but it would be that if a provider is going to, is committed to running fiber throughout, I don't know that I would also want to further require that we have to do a conduit, right? So unless y'all disagree, what I don't want to do is make it so challenging or make it where there's an unnecessary expense.
For
We
example,
typically,
like a subdivision, if they want to run fiber overhead instead of through a cable.
I would say I think we need to run it through the ground, just to keep it. The only thing about Larry's suggestion that concerns me is that if you ever have to get dig and, you don't necessarily want the gas line or sometimes you may want to separate a little bit, but I think that we can work those logistics out. But my thought was if, for example, if a developer's got a commitment to run fiber from AT&T or from Side CableNet, and they've got a service plan, and they agree to service it, that maybe we don't require the conduit. But, if they have not gotten an agreement from somebody, that's when they would have to run the conduit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like the whole idea, definitely in theory. I think Daniel probably has worked with it. He's been on the ground, seen it implemented, and so I think his
Maybe
input.
have him track feasibility and make sure that there's not something we're missing.
And do it quick.
I think the action ought to be to instruct, the motion ought to be to instruct Daniel, the county manager, to bring us back.
Prior to the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Is that what you want to do? You have that motion, go for it.
Got a motion from Commissioner Ambrose to do so. We got a second. Commissioner Mommy, sure. Any discussion? Here none, I'll call the question. All in favor? All right. Jeff, y'all get to work on that. Next item on the agenda is the Board of Assessors Board appointment. Mr. Robert Watson, he's a current Board of Assessors member. His term is expired.
I make a motion to go with the board assessor's recommendation.
Second.
Reappoint.
Okay, got a motion to reappoint, got a second to do so. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? All right. Mr. Watson has been reappointed. Next item on the agenda is the district attorney, public defender's building update. Ed?
Hope everybody can see that. This is the drawing that was presented the last time. Make sure we're looking here at the Justice Center. This is the jail. And up here to the north is where we were going to locate the new district attorney building along with the public defender. We took 7 to 10 soil borings out there. It's a wooded area. This land was used to stockpile excess soil and rock that was removed out of the Justice Center. According to the people that did the soil borings, the soils are not suitable for a building in that area, and they would need to undercut as much as 7 feet of soil in that area. So the architect and the construction company have presented us with another possibility. Again, here's the Justice Center, the jail's now on the right, and the building would be over here, a little bit still to the north, but turned at a different angle. All of that is cleared area. The one thing that is probably questionable but doesn't need to be answered at this time is this parking lot, which is probably would be objectionable by the sheriff because it's probably too close to the fence line. But would appear to me they could just rotate that about 90 degrees and put it on back out here into the field. Now, to proceed along this, from the road down to the training center property line, there is a drop of about 30 feet. And what has been requested by the architects and the builders is to obtain a 2-foot contour in interval topographical map. Steve Coleman, the former county surveyor, has put a document which is in your papers. The cost would be between $3,750 and $4,000. And he would provide hard copy maps, PDF files, drawing formats to those state requirements, and it would take him 30 days to complete this. Right now, we're at a standstill until we get this map complete. So the recommendation that I would make tonight would be to go ahead and authorize Steve Coleman to proceed with the topographical mapping at a cost not to exceed $4,000. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jim. We've got a recommendation from County Manager Hedges. What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Got a motion to authorize Steve Coleman to proceed. Got a second, Commissioner Rowland. Any discussion?
One question I've got on it. We need dirt out of the landfill. Wouldn't it be better for us to cut that 7 foot down, that would give us the dirt to use out of the landfill?
I can't answer that question.
You know, we lost our soil bid. That'd be a question for Junior. To go back to the original drawings.
I think you have a problem if you cut it down 7 feet.
What do you mean, cut it down? When I read the memo the other day, and I saw the drop, because he said it was a 30-foot drop. I mean, we're wanting to build this thing on a slab, and I can tell you right off the bat, that's gonna be a no-no. I knew that was a problem right away. I thought y'all were gonna move it across the street back to if it fits right here and it's on that higher plateau, that sounds good. It just backfilling all that, you know, and then you build a slab on top of backfill, and just not as good.
All right. So we've got a motion and a second to authorize Steve to do so. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? All right, the motion passes. Jim, if you'll get in touch with Steve.
Will do.
All right, next item on the agenda is the Bicentennial Committee appointments. Some of y'all may or may not know, May 15th, 1821 is when Monroe County was created. May 15th, 2021 will be the Bicentennial. We have some folks that are interested in celebrating that, as I think we all should. And so Ralph Bass and Gilbert Stanberry have approached us about planning the process. And then they have recommended some individuals to be put on the committee. And so, Jim, if you would go to the recommended appointees. And do you have any other information to add?
I do not, other than all these people have been asked if they would serve, and all have agreed to serve.
Okay, great.
I got a couple of them I had.
Okay.
It's been in history. Lillian Davis,
Yeah.
Winifred Berry.
I didn't hear.
Lillian,
Berry.
well, I'm sorry, Lillian Davis and Winifred Berry.
They're in the history, everything.
Winifred
Is there an amount of people,
Berry,
Barry?
B-E-R-R-Y.
B-R-R-Y.
Is there a certain amount they have on that?
I think you can put as many as you want. I think it's better to have.
Be on anybody. It's gonna work.
Hold on, Todd Talbert's not on there, and Todd actually expressed an interest in being, so we can put Todd's name down. And Eddie, I sent you a text of what Todd sent me, but there's a button that he had in his dad's stuff about the sesquicentennial, I think 150 year, where all the men had to grow beards out. So I thought I'm way ahead of y'all on that.
I'd like to put Vicky Smith, Bolingbrook.
Vicky Smith, here.
She did good.
Okay.
somebody new from Cologne.
There's
And we-
somebody there from, Jim Zeldin,
Million Davis.
Million,
Okay, that's good.
But they're in the historical society, I think that's the other, just ones in the historical society.
Yeah, I'm not people out, not necessarily just,
And it's not like this is set in stone, it's not like we can't add more later, we've also got.
all right, well, I don't want Clayton beating up on me, so put Sarah Ray on.
And this town was built by the railroad, so I think y'all put Don Daniels on there. Would that be all?
Can he and Will get along?
I was on the first one in 1972, and on the front page of first edition of the 1972 issue of Minor County report with the board of directors of assessment.
It was built around the railroad, I know he's got a nice railroad museum, I'd like to put him on.
Who's that?
Don
Don
Daniels.
Daniels.
There's no S, is there? An S at the end of your name?
Sir?
Is it Daniel or Daniels?
Daniel.
That's what I thought. You add an S, I didn't always add an S.
Usually the S stands for SOB.
I've heard that. I wasn't gonna say. All right. Anybody else?
Thank you.
And I recommend we approve startup funds.
Okay. Right, so the next item is that we also, along with this, is to approve those members, and of course, the other ones that we've added, with the qualification or the understanding that they would agree to serve. They give us quarterly updates, and then from there, we would allocate $5,000 as seed money for the celebration.
One question, should we appoint someone as kind of a rep from that group?
He's an ex officio, he's on every group.
I'm talking about not from our board, but just from the group, or did they, just were they gonna?
Either Ralph, I think Ralph,
They'll probably pick their.
why don't we let that group decide, that brings us back.
Fair enough.
But that's good, and that would be who would do the reports. All right, so we've got I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, or give them
We've got a
motion.
motion and a second to approve these recommended members plus the additional ones, and then approve the startup funds for $5,000. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? All right. Jim, if you'll reach out to those. All right, the next item on the agenda is tab I, 2019 LMIG bid approval. Jim, you got some information on that?
I do. This was discussed back in June and again now in August. The roads identified for the OMIG grant is Stoke Store Road, Key Ridge Road, Pine Grove Church Road, Collier Road, and Cricket Run. And shown on this slide was the initial type of work that was going to be performed. You'll recall the bids came in over $900,000 of funding, and this slide gave you the option to fund the projects within the budget, reject all bids, or to rebid with a reduced scope of work. And this board opted to rebid these roads out with a reduced scope of work. What was changed was the full depth reclamation on Stoke Store Road was removed, and on P Ridge Road, the backfilling, the grassing of the shoulder would be performed by the county. We received 2 bids after the mandatory 4-week period. Reeves Construction bid a little over $1.3 million. See that Matthews bid $1,189,000. This slide is just the bids by the road. So where we are, the first column shows the original bid process. We had $885,000 for this 10 miles of road. The bid was $1.8 million, so they were $955,000 over. This bid round, we still have the same amount of funds available, $885,000. The bid $1,189,000. We're short $303,000. So you're back to the options of reducing the mileage to match the available funds. You could could delete Stokes Store Road. Or you can fund this shortfall from the general fund and replenish with the 2020 SPOS funds beginning in March or April of next year. Both myself and the finance director, we support that last option to move forward with funding both from LMIG, our match, and the general fund. General fund will be repaid once SPOS funds start to be received in February of next year. Mr. Chairman?
Sir. Gentlemen, you've heard the recommendation by County Manager Hedges. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion for disapprove it, throw those bids out.
You got a motion to disapprove. Do I have a second for that? Seeing no second, those in
I'll
favor?
second for discussion, because I want to hear him out, but I haven't thought of that as an option.
Saved by the bell.
Sorry.
A second and a second. So now we're in discussion.
The reason I say that is we originally had these roads set up to be done for about $850,000. And now the state or wherever's come in with this new policy, and it's down near double the price of these roads. And the people that normally did the engineering for us, they couldn't even bid on it because the way these bid packets work, they had to bid on the whole job. They couldn't bid their part of the full depth reclamation and then get another company to do the bid on asphalt. They either had to do it all or do it none. And we've been doing this for years. And I think we've got to go back with our legislators, Susan Hall, Robert Dickey and them, because they're putting our counties, it's gonna cost the counties twice the amount to do what we normally do. And if the T-SPOS passes, we won't even be able to do a third of what we're wanting to do. We've got to come up with solutions. We got this done before, didn't pay engineering fees, and they got like flagging fees, traffic control, $45,000 to do a flagging on them. And the other one, they provided their own flagging. And the bonds they have to get, I just think we need to put all this off until we get a resolution from the state, because our counties cannot afford to do this. Because road superintendent, may I address our road superintendent?
Yes, sir. Junior, you want to come on up?
Did you hear what I was saying there, Mr. Watts? Because we had these things set up for about $860,000 to do that complete job. And now it's just about doubled in the price. And the people we normally use can't even bid on it because of the bid packet. They got to bid it all or none. I mean, there's got to be a happy medium that we could go out and get 3 bids on it, advertise the paper, because Junior knows what those roads need. We don't need an engineer to tell us that. Tell us what we need, and then let's bid the paper, and then let them turn in a bid on it. They're part of it. Like if we got a guy, like Miller Group wants to bid on the undercutting, all right, then say Georgia Asphalt or Sylvia Matthews or House and Asphalt want to bid on the asphalt part of it, because they were doing free engineering for us. They're providing their own flag and everything. Now it's double the price. I mean, there's got to be a way with the legislature we can work with this. This new policy came up, it's going to break us. We can't afford to do the roads.
Okay. Any comment on that, Mr. Watts?
It's just a lot different doing it from what we're used to, and I know it's a
Different or
lot,
more expensive.
very, whole lot more expensive. I have had some road jobs and all that would cost $200,000 going to an engineer, and that costs pretty close to $400,000.
I went to roads and we're on this report to do. And, I mean, like Stokesville, we can't take Stokesville off. Pea Ridge is one of the worst roads we got in the county. And here we're just gonna patch cover and do grassing on the surface on the sides of it.
So I definitely hear your frustration and agree with you, because I didn't like.
But we don't have the money to fix it, And I say, let's don't go out and halfway fix it. Let's wait and get a ruling back from the legislator on this, because I talked to Robert Dickey about it a couple of weeks ago, and I'd like to get another response from him.
Let me say this, I think the reason the state went to that, you only blame one contractor there. You don't go to the middle, then go to Georgia Asphalt, if you have a failure, you know, each gonna blame the other. So that's the way we used to do it, we used to deal with each contract. But if you do it this way, you go straight to that contract, he put up a bonds, and he's got to honor it. So that's the same way with a general contractor. You know, you come in, you gotta put up a bond and performance bond, and if something fails in that building, where he's responsible, that's your bonding part. And I don't think no one legislator is gonna go up there and tell the DOT what to do. Just tell you that. I respect their position.
agree.
But you've got a situation where they're not gonna go up there and vote that. You've got federal funds involved in this, and state funds, and local funds. So, all of those roads I looked at, the church road was gone, all of them basically in bad shape. And, we can go ahead and do this. And we can add and go like next year, and start all over. You just watch that.
Hold for next year.
I'm gonna ask a question to Commissioner Evans and Junior, Watt. In y'all's tenure being here, how many roads have you had to go back to the contractor and file a claim against their performance bond or their insurance?
None of my district.
Okay,
No, that I can remember.
none?
Yeah, I don't wanna call it contract for fields, yeah, we've sent some back.
How many?
Remember, I sent one back on the job on the north end.
About box on the road.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Okay.
We've had some phase.
I understand, I mean, because I definitely understand your concern or and concern about having a, which one do you go back to, the asphalt company or the one that did the reclamation, or, you know, them arguing it out, hey, it's your fault, those types of things.
That's the problem.
But the other issue is how often does it happen? Does it only happen once? Maybe that's all that has to happen, you know, for it to be a problem.
And I will say that all these roads, I drove every one of them today.
Right.
And I see nothing wrong with leaving them in that position or condition until we come, because there's got to be an easier way of meeting these state regulations about bidding out advertisement. And I think we could advertise it on a local level, bid the thing out without getting these engineers involved in it, because that way we can have people bid on both sections of it.
You're not gonna be able to use the LB money,
Why?
because they got specs on it. They also
Well, then-
Is
require,
that right? That's
they
correct.
require that we have
Is Larry right?
the LB, they require.
What was the question?
Larry's saying you won't be able to use the LB money.
You separate the contractors, as he's talking about. We go against the state reg right now.
As long as it's not over $100,000, we don't even have to bid it. I mean, we don't have to do this process.
Let me just
Yeah,
We
clear
used
something
to
up.
have to have a professional engineering company for the LB. This is the first year, I think, that we've had to have it, right?
I've always had engineers
We have.
involved.
We hadn't
And
had.
I
we
just
really-
wondered, I'd like to ask, was the performance bond always required in the past when you would just call up a guy and say, go do that road? I doubt it.
No, we've already basically dealt with the same two contractors, Reeves and Georgia Asphalt.
And Miller Group.
Yeah, Miller did the
Asphalt.
honor part stuff. He never had nothing to do with
Commissioner Rowland had pointed out.
But now we are required to put it on the, what is it, Georgia
Procurement
website. So anybody
State
bid.
law.
And I think the purpose of the engineer is to set the scope of work.
Correct?
If 3 different contractors are their own engineers, then this contractor is going to engineer his scope of work. This one is going to engineer his, and you're not getting an apples to apples comparison until you have somebody independent, which is what the purpose of the engineer is this is the scope of work, and all 3 are bidding on the same thing. Is that
That's
kind of how?
absolutely correct.
But did you see, I guess, let's don't do a job over 100,000. We get all the LMA and everything, because it, I mean, over the last, I've been on the board 5 years. In 5 years, I've never seen a problem on roads paved out here, and the cost, I mean, this more than double. Have that engineer put in here on that?
It did initially, but now it's not double. I mean, we're 1.8 million to 1.1 million, so
But that was
1.8 million
scope
was
of
double,
work.
1.1 million is not double.
Didn't that reduce the scope of work? Those reduce it. Why
It's
put a
not the same
Band-Aid on a
job,
problem?
yeah.
So here's what we've got. We've got a motion to totally decline doing anything on any of the roads right now. It's basically what y'all are saying. Is that right, John?
Yes.
George, that's what you're,
Well, again,
you
I-
seconded for discussion. I got it.
Discussion, I wanted to hear, I'm glad we did hear it.
The rest of the story is what Larry's saying, and I think and some of what Eddie's saying, it's not kind of in conjunction with each other, is that we need to approve this, to get it's got to be done this way, engineering, scope of work, it's got to be done this way to get the LMIG to get the LMIG money and then us to match it. So I think we got to take a vote on their motion in just a minute, but I think the thing to do would be to approve these, but then work very hard moving forward with our legislators to figure out a way to roll this back some. You know, we got a legislative meeting in October, talks about policy that ACCG is going to implement around the state. I'm sure other counties have had this issue. And so I think, this is just my thoughts on it, is that we ought to approve these going forward. But I understand your frustration why you're interested in declining going forward. So,
Yeah, I
we've got a
understand.
motion, right, we've got a motion to deny or decline doing any of the work, and we have a second. So if there's no further discussion on it,
Yeah, two quick
okay,
questions.
Commissioner Mommy
I'll
first.
be quick, I'll be quick. Number one, where is the engineering cost, or is it rolled into, where, I'm missing the line.
It's separate from this.
Okay,
It's separate from this. There's a contract that's been signed.
so these different project costs plus the engineering is what that top, what that bid is for, the 1.189. That includes engineering, and just out of curiosity, what percentage of that is the engineering?
As I recall, it's either 6 or 8%.
Okay. And then I got one, just, every now and again, I don't know what 12.5 mm super paved Group 1 bituminous material or hydrated lime is supposed to cost. I've never priced that out personally, but I do want to just do a sniff test on the traffic control. So really quickly, if you'll humor me on this, how long will the Stokes Store Road project take?
Providing get cement, asphalt materials on, say they could do it probably in about a day and a half.
A day and a half.